Hey folks, this is Shanton here, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to kill Commander Zhalk, the Illithid, and the Cambions on Tactician mode in Baldur's Gate 3 tutorial. You do get some nice loot, but to be honest, this is mostly something you should try for the challenge. This video contains a brief walkthrough of my prep and setup for the fight, the plan for how I intended the fight to go down, and then footage of the actual fight with tactical commentary. I can promise that stuff did not go exactly as planned. I end up by going out how the plan could be improved, some tips for how to make the fight easier with a minimum of savescumming, or how to make it less cheesy if you're like me and not a fan of too much cheese. I'm obviously doing this in a bard, but many of the same tricks work for other classes, and some, like Warlock, Paladin and Barbarian, might have a much simpler time. Get ready for some min-maxing and a lot of both lucky and unlucky rolls. Here we go. For setting up your character to attempt this, there are a few what I would call essential pickups. You need Mage Hand in order for extra actions to throw around potions in combat. You want Fairyfire for advantage against the Commander, and later down the line, hopefully the Cambions. You want Longstrider for extra movement speed on all of your characters. And that should about be it. I went with Bard for Bardic Inspiration, and it's a good buff, and because Bard, you can probably do this with other classes as long as you get the 3 essential ones. For prep, we start out by changing out Shadowheart spells. The important ones are Bless and Command. I also picked up Protection from Evil and Sanctuary here. Then we change over the armors of Lae'zel and Shadowheart. That is in attempt to make them focus a bit more on Lae'zel rather than Shadowheart, if possible. She has a bigger health pool so as not to get one shot. Make sure you have the Nautiloid tank from Shadowheart's room, and then you are ready to start. I use Bardic Inspiration on all of my companions here, and once I've done that, I start turn-based mode. Yes. And in here, we summon in Mage Hands with Lae'zel and our Tav Chandran. We bless everyone with Shadowheart. Everyone, by everyone, I mean every main companion. And I believe I also use Sanctuary on her here. It doesn't really do anything as he's going to be fighting soon, but we might as well. Then we leave turn-based mode, click the Restoration Chamber, and run back towards the entrance. Once there, enter turn-based mode again, put down the candle, and dip everyone's weapons. That's one last bit of prep I would do. I would split up all your potions. I forgot to do that, and that was hell during the fights. So much so that I eventually went back and did it as part of my prep. And lastly, all you have to do is remember to save your game here, otherwise you are going to regret it. The plan for the fight itself, it goes like this. Hope you got all that. So getting into the fight proper, we are gonna start off here. First off, the commander is running towards us. I don't know why he does that. He started doing that after I started changing my prep a bit, but it's in our favor, so I like it. We take off the kill the small ones with awesome stuff like that, and then we land the Fairyfire here. The Fairyfire is quite important to land. If we don't, we can still do it, but it's gonna be harder. And then I move up with Chandran, my Tav, in order to land a Bardic Inspiration and the Mindflayer. Because of the way it works, when he's just about to miss or stuff like that, it will trigger. If it not, it doesn't. So he can keep it for all fight most of the time. If he doesn't, it's because it's going to hit. Yeah, and of course, I forgot my candle. I did that a few too many times, I must admit. But we have the Mage chance to do that, so that's great. Luckily here, I succeed on saving throw against the Imp Bolt, or I could have lost my Fairyfire. It's a little annoying getting hit by that, but that's how it goes. Moving Lae'zel into melee. Because he's in the middle there, we can reach him first turn. Using Lacerate in order to apply the bleed debuff, this will cause disadvantage on Constitution saves. We want that for our dazed effects to hit. Concussive Smash is the next one we're going to try with Shadowheart here. Unfortunately, he succeeds the save. This would have put disadvantage on Wisdom saving throws. We have one more attempt with Lae'zel next round. We want that in order to have a better chance of landing our command. Another version is of course, just to save spam until you get it in the beginning here, but that I like this one better. So if we can land the command on him, it's going to be great. The Mage Hand takes out the last limp there, and he runs off back to the commander and does his first critical miss. We're going to see a couple of those. Getting a little extra attack of opportunity there from Lae'zel was nice as well from Shadowheart. Us cannot reach the imp, otherwise he would have gone for that, so he jumps into melee with the commander, using the jump for extra movement. I believe here we set up a piercing strike or piercing shot. Since he is bleeding, he has lowered con save, so this is an opportune time to land those. Keep dipping in the candle, of course. So, yeah, piercing, misses, that's how it goes. And get the mage hand into position. I think I still forgot the candle, so we need to go and fetch that in a second. Using the mage hand to gather the canisters, or maybe I did pick it up with Shadowheart before, that might be an option. Lae'zel is trying for Pommel Strike here. We really hope this works, because then there's going to be a very good chance for our command to land. And that is the next part of the plan, making him drop his weapon. You can just do that from the beginning and spam your save scums if you want to. Failing the first attempt here really hurts, but that is why we've got backup. I don't know why I pushed the imp the way there, it made really no sense, and it seems like I did pick up the candle this time, so that's great. Move the canister into a position not too close, or the boss might decide to hit them and blow up everything. That has happened to me before. Double critical miss here after I missed my command is just very, very nice. Him not hitting the Mindflayer is great, we wanted to stay alive. And since he still had his weapon, which he was not supposed to, that could have been a lot of extra damage on it. Trying again for the piercing shot, still didn't work. And let's just trigger the last mob so we can get rid of them in order to not have to deal with them later. Moving there, getting the canister up there. Shadowheart, you're supposed to pick it up. You forgot last time. Just keep forgetting it. Push the imp back towards us so we can get an easier kill on it, hopefully. It should be dead by now. I should have killed it. So, command, and this time he actually drops his weapon. I think this one has to work if you want to do this correctly, because you really want this against the Cambions, and to be honest, against him as well most of the time. In this attempt, I get him a little too low as well. That has happened on some of my attempts, especially when Lae'zel has the weapon there. So now I finally remember to pick up the canisters. We want them to set up the explosion on the Cambions later. So this next part is not the most interesting part of the fight, giving me a chance to talk about other stuff for a bit. I'm obviously doing this on a bard because bard. You could easily do it on certain other classes. I think barbarians have a nice time with the rage meaning that they can tank hits from the Cambions easily. Maybe warlocks, eldritch blasts deals a lot of damage. They are not reduced in damage against these units. And there are probably a couple other I could think of. Paladin might be a good one. Advantage against Fiend from Divine Sense, extra radiant damage from Oath of Vengeance, and the Daze effect as well to make sure you land those commands. Finally killed off the imp. I dip in a bit to kill off the imps in the end in the back here, and run away so they have to dash to catch up to us. It's no reason to have the chance of accidentally having our concentration broken. The Mindflayer keeps wailing on the commander, as do we. And stuff is looking fine at this moment in time. Well, not ideal, but it's great. Take down the Hellborn, not with Lae'zel. She should be focusing on the commander. She's the one who can damage him. The best one for that job, at least, together with Mr. Mindflayer himself. Picking off random stuff for later. It's easier to make them a chance to throw it when they're not looking at all around the room. Keep dipping that candle, always do the candle. Just makes it so much more likely that you'll one-shot the imps and stuff like that. It could be kind of fun trying this without all the restoration chamber nonsense, cheese like that, and see whether or not that should be doable. It probably would, to be honest, with a lot of the spells I missed here. If I've hit them instead, it should be fine. I'm sure you can also set up stuff a little easier. I'm still talking with Bard. There's other classes where I think it's a bit simpler, as mentioned earlier, but I should probably actually go and play some of the game first before trying stuff like that. So at this point, I'm trying to set up a bit of ammunition for the mage hands for later. Some potions we're laying out. and some random weapons as well. Chandran moves away so as not to be too close to the Cambions when they come later, and my plan was actually to set up a mage hand post on the balcony so they could throw stuff down with the height advantage. But I don't get to do it in this run. I had it in some of my other ones. I even moved the mage hand up there, but never gets to do anything. The commander's a little too low, which can be troublesome, so I need to do other stuff. I think I decide on using Lae'zel for the trap here instead of using Shadowheart. Lae'zel is a bit better for it since she has a hand crossbow I've equipped her with, and she can do the run and gun shot, whatever it's called, where you use the dash action, you still get a bonus action to shoot. I dip it in the fire here, so I have the option for it in a later, and then I move her up, but not too close. I don't want the Cambions flying in and shooting fireballs at her, if we can avoid it. So they ought to dash in. I don't mind shooting a bit with Shadowheart just to do something, but it is a bit of waiting time at the moment, to be honest, so we may have gone overboard with some of the damage earlier on. Maybe we're just too lucky with the Mindflayer's hits on him. I'm disengaging with us to get away from him. We just want our people to be like in the back here, and here we have the first little hiccup. It killed our mage hand. That was not supposed to happen. It usually doesn't target the mage hands, but I guess since it was the only thing it could target, it went there and killed with a fireball. So I'm looking around trying to see how I'm going to set up the explosion on them. I only want to explode them because the commander and Illithid, I sort of want the commanders to stay alive a little while longer so that we don't get the Illithid running amok all over the place. But it gets a little messy here. I'm summoning the mage hand. I could have summoned in a mage hand earlier to have a total of 4, but it seems a little too cheesy to me. It's not supposed to be a spell you have 2 of. I'm already really dipping too much into cheese for my own liking with using the restoration chamber at all, the way it works. But I guess you do what you gotta do. I think it's doable without it. I'm actually quite certain it is because a lot of the spell misses I had here could just have been those spells used for those spells instead. We're moving up the trap here. The idea is for the mage hand that just died to throw it into the face of the Cambions out there, then shoot it with Lae'zel's fiery crossbow and dash away to safety. So they get damaged, but the mage hand is dead. So now we're just gonna have to hope that they land sort of around where I placed it. I think it should be okay, or maybe we'll have another mage hand going and fix our trouble later. That one looks perfect. It flies up and throws a firebolt in that. And for some reason, I don't know if I misclicked there or something. He runs into melee and starts wailing on the commander. That was not supposed to happen. Here's the moment of truth. Fairy fire. If we had hit both of the Cambions, we would have been ecstatic. Hitting none would have been very sad. Hitting one is sort of what you expect. Also redoing Bardic Inspiration and Illithid there, just to it used it at some point, and we wanted to have as high a chance as possible at hitting stuff. We move Shadowheart up there to use the Firebolt instead of Lae'zel. We would really have liked to be able to use Lae'zel there, but we need her to resummon her mage hand that died just in a second, so that we have it for the rest of the fight. We can't use her actions on it later, as we are going to use a Potion of Speed just in a moment, and we really want her to be able to swing for the fences on the Cambions. She's the one who's going to be our biggest damage dealer together with the Mindflayer once again. So can't have her standing around summoning mage hands at that point. And we do want the mage hand. The heals from them are quite nice. Shadowheart is a little off position here. She's too close. They might be able to get into melee with her, which would be really sad because that means they'll be on the wrong side of the Mindflayer. We want them on the other side as much as possible. Preferably together with the commander. As you can see here, it flies up to us, which is sad because he's not supposed to be in that position either. They're supposed to go for the Mindflayer there, but hey, and this was what I feared. It reaches Shadowheart, but luckily she's wearing Lae'zel's armor and does not go down. It misses. You do need a little bit of luck once in a while. And now we are basically getting to the harder-ish part of the fight. We need to kill the Cambions, and we don't have anyone that's really set up for that except Lae'zel. Throw a little healing around with the mage hands. Extra actions are nice, and this one is awesome. Pushing away the Cambion so we can get the Shadowheart into a position for a nice potion of speed here on all 3 of them. And from here on, we should be able to lay a good amount of damage onto the Cambions, while the Illithid is still standing. If we can focus the Fairy Fire at one, it should be quite good. Mindflayer is still alive, obviously. We probably even heal him in a second if I recall correctly. And here we go, Bardic Inspiration for the win. And start wailing on the Fairy Fire at Cambion. Running away again, getting her out of the way just to see if we can bait them to go for us or something like that instead. Or the Mindflayer, obviously. Healing the Mindflayer, we don't want him to go down yet. We want him alive so that the Cambions are not going for us. Should have thrown that potion so it hit us as well. Didn't do that. And we have the first down, and things start going a little sour, especially from Boom, Mind Blast, and the entire team. Luckily not the entire team, because we had Shadowheart up on the stairs. But, however, both of the Cambions did get Mindflayed and missed their saves. So we are not in as bad a position as it might look. We can get back up our peeps using Mage Hands and healing potions. As you will see now, Mage Hands are immune to psychic damage, which means that I don't really care about the attacks of opportunity from the Illithid with them, and the other guys are stunned. We can move up into the position, start throwing bottles of healing onto people. The other Mage Hand will get up Chandran. This was a very sad timing for that Mindflayer onto the group. Having people go down in the middle of the potion of speed means that we do a lot less damage. We are losing a lot of actions like this because when they go down, they don't get the action when they go up. But look at Shadowheart here. Critting because he's stunned, I believe, and there's a 100% hit chance as well on her Radiant, whatever it's called, cantrip. Radiant Bolt, maybe? Yeah, ouch. Just having to skip an entire turn on Chandran. Oh yeah, well, Bardic Inspiration, of course, but that's about it. And get the hell out of dodge. We do not want them to be attacking him. He is far too squishy for that. Lae'zel should be able to deal good there. We don't have a good setup for the cleave. We could go and kill the Mindflayer, but that would be silly. So just slam her and wail on him a bit. This is a lucky set of a double 40% hit, but only for 8 total damage, and Lae'zel misses the important, more important attack there instead. That's still fair. We hit one, we missed one. That's how stuff is supposed to be, more or less. A bit more ammunition for the Mage Hands, and yeah, I really like the fact that you can do this so you don't have to properly set up exactly who is having which item at what time and stuff like that, that you can just change it around in combat, have a shared inventory or whatever you want to call it. The only thing is that it's a bit cheesy when you do it with stuff like the candle, because it's the same item that everyone is using then. Apropos candle, I forgot it again. Get it up there to Shadowheart. At least that's less cheesy. That has an in-game explanation for how it gets around. Getting far away because we're going to have the down round for from the speed potion. Just get all the way in the back, hope they go for each other, try to see what happens down there, and we are going to skip an entire turn basically, standing up there being lethargic from the speed potion. I throw a bleed bulb here. I think the intention is to set up for piercing shot from Chandran on the next round. With the disadvantage on con saves that the bleed gives, it should have a little higher chance of landing on the Cambions. The brine bulb is nice in that it explodes if you shoot it with a fiery surface, so we should be able to move Chandran up and shoot one of them down there in a minute and have a little damage go on to the rest of them. And since they're so low, it might even kill something. Throwing stuff with Mage Hands takes a lot of time. There's a weird amount of lag on some of their actions sometimes. You can see Chandran move up here, shoot something. I think I miss, unfortunately, but if you notice there, 10% extra hit chance from going a little up the stairs. Nice. We killed one of the Cambions there. Well, actually, the Mindflayer kills the first one, but we still get experience and loot, which is nice and what's supposed to work. And now we just need to get rid of the last couple ones. The Cambion is pretty low. More random stuff for the Mage Hands. I think it's not really that needed at this point, but I do like my min-maxing, as it seems. It would be sad to fail it at this point, i.e. I don't like savescumming when trying to go for stuff like this, and failing at this point would be so freaking sad. So just let's get all the extra min-max out of the way. Another bulb in there, and I think we even killed the Cambion with the Mage Hand bulb after it went to 1 hit point from Shadowheart shot. Now there's just the Mindflayer left, and that should be quite easy. I don't even think it can hit us from there, unless if it has Mind Blast here, we might be in a sea of trouble. It might even be able to hit all 3 of us if it positions correctly. But just need to hit him. Oop. Pick up the candle and get towards whatever it's called, transponder, something. Control over there. And there we go. Fight is over and done with, and all that's left is for Shadowheart and Lae'zel to loot all the stuff, while Chandran goes to the transponder and plays a happy song. So, that was a fun challenge and all, but what did we actually get from it? Other than the XP, we got 300 gold, an arrow of arcane interference, an arrow of darkness, scroll of enlarge, a trident, some silvery ingots, a glass goblet, and scale mail. I think the glass goblet is our trophy here. On the other one, we have 350 gold. It's a bit richer. An elixir of barkskin, an elixir of bloodlust, an elixir of fire resistance, yet another trident, another silver ingot, and another scale mail. Other than that, of course, we have the Everburn blade and the opportunity to loot everything else in this room. So that is what we're going to do. But before the looting, let's go through what we learned. So first off, the fight was hard, but it was definitely not as hard as expected, even if it did take me several tries to get the various tactics down. It varied a lot how well the first part went on my various attempts, but it was clear that that was not where you really ought to invest most of your resources. Even with a lot of stuff not landing this run, like the missed command causing Lae'zel's weapon upgrade to be delayed, we still had to skip entire turns so the commander would die too fast. Tactics and positioning wise, keeping the commander alive for longer might be worth it. Leaving the party safe from random mind blasts seems like a smart idea considering. Placing Puros on the Cambion side of Mindflayers as a sacrifice for the Cambions may help us set up much better late turns than I had here. Dream scenario would be, of course, that Mind Blast both Cambions and the commander. From previous runs, I know that once everything else is dead, the Illithid goes down very fast. As long as you keep your people spread out so as not to get Mind Blasted on all at once, you can tank and spank it with Mage Hands, getting up whomever it downs in a turn. If you want to make the fight a good bit easier, you could do so with a tiny bit of savescumming. I like setting myself up for the best possible chance at one-shotting a fight, and with Bleed, Daze, Command combo, you have a very high chance of landing the command. But if you just want to win the fight, you could just save before the fight, lead with the command spell, and then reload if it fails. That's rather simple. It does have a decent chance at success, even without the Daze. Also, later on, the explosion from the canisters can do a lot more damage than it did here. If they fail their saves, it literally doubles the damage. So you can save before exploding and wait for one or both of the Cambions to fail their saves. That would be very effective at making this fight easier. If you'd rather cut down a bit on the cheese, you could avoid using the Restoration Chamber at all, and you should still be able to succeed. The Mage Hands are not really needed for the first part of the fight. You shouldn't be taking damage, and their primary abilities are actually to throw healing potions. If you land the first command, Shadowheart can just cast Blessed during the fight with a second spell slot instead of pre-blessing. And it is nice for fighting the commander, the Bless spell, but it's really most important later on. This is probably something I'd like to try at a later time, but for now I should probably actually try and play the game some. So thank you for joining me, if you have been. I've been Chandran and you've been awesome. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, and bye-bye. So back to the looting.